When it comes to exercises for the pelvic floor, there are so many things we can do. We're going to talk about Kegels today, exercises for the pelvic floor, and more. I'm Dr. Dianne, your Libido Doc, talking this month about pelvic floor health and how to get out of pelvic floor pain. So as we talked about in a previous video, and please do subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video this month on pelvic floor health. And as we talked about in a previous video, one thing that will happen that leads to pelvic floor dysfunction, causing pain, causing incontinence, causing sometimes loss of stool control, and more, is due to the muscles of the pelvic floor not contracting and relaxing appropriately. Oftentimes people are just told to do Kegels, and while Kegels can be good, there can be two problems with Kegels. One, we might not be doing them totally correctly and really squeezing correctly. There's no feedback loop oftentimes to do that. And two, we might not be relaxing our muscles. So can you imagine going to the gym and just holding a bicep curl for a long time without ever stretching, without ever actually moving into that relaxed motion, right? We want our muscles to contract and to relax. That is healthy muscles, and the pelvic floor is no different. So certain things can be really helpful. Some basic exercises for pelvic floor function are things like cat-cow, where we're on all our fours and we're moving from a rounded back to a tucked back. That can be really good. Making sure that you're opening up your psoas muscle, which is that muscle in the front kind of your hip that goes into your abdominal area. So bridges do work really well for that. So that's when you're on your back with your feet planted on the floor and you lift your hips up. So holding that position. You can actually dig your hands into your hip fold, into that crease of the hip fold, and you can find oftentimes sore areas there. Definitely would encourage you to do that. And one of the things that people often miss is our psoas, which is that hip flexor. That's that muscle that's allowing our leg to say kick up. And that muscle actually is connected all the way up into our diaphragm. So breathing is a huge thing for the pelvic floor. The muscles of the diaphragm, the ligaments of the diaphragm, all are connected into our pelvic floor. So we really want to make sure we're also including deep breathing, really breathing in slowly. That is very activating for the diaphragm, and breathing out slowly. That slow, deep breath can be extremely good for that pelvic floor. Also from a standpoint of doing body work. So anything that is going to be a fascial type of body work. So rolfing or something like a myofascial massage can oftentimes get into that abdominal cavity. So often I find that people, when they go in for massage, they don't get their belly done. And it's really important to massage the belly and to do fascial work on the belly, because that's going to help all of those muscles of the pelvic floor to work better. Sometimes we can even hold we have adhesions. Adhesions are these I almost describe them as these like muscle tangles. It's where the muscle fibers are not lying on top of each other appropriately, and the muscle and the ligaments don't work exactly correctly. So sometimes we can form these adhesions even on the interior of the vaginal wall. So there are pelvic floor therapists that will do internal work along the vaginal wall, and sometimes this can be really, really helpful for pelvic floor functioning as well. You can also even do your own work on the pelvic floor in that way. We're going to discuss that and how you do that in another video. So again, keeping all of these muscles open and relaxed, making sure you're doing diaphragmatic breathing, you're doing good breathing when you go to the gym. And then I've shown this on YouTube. I've shown this to you guys once before on my channel, so some of you guys might have seen this, but this is basically a Kegel trainer. Kind of looks like a little sperm. And this is from the company Plus One. And I love this thing. I keep mine in my shower. But why I love it is because it basically has remote. So basically it's two remotes connected. And what Mini Remote will do, but I see I need to charge mine. But what Mini Remote will do is essentially, by how hard I squeeze it, it will actually cause my remote to light up. So basically this part, this sperm look-like part goes inside, and then you have this remote in your hand. And when this is charged, this is good to know that I'm out of batteries, but when this is charged, what will happen is as you squeeze this with your pelvic floor, this will light up, and it'll have lights that go all the way up here. The more lights you see, the harder you're squeezing. So this gives you a feedback loop, not only for squeezing, but also for relaxing, because you really want to make sure we're squeezing and relaxing for proper pelvic floor function. So you want to make sure that with using something like this, you can squeeze really hard, you can relax really well, and as you relax, you'll see that the lights go down to nothing. You squeeze, you want to get the lights all the way up, and that's how you can actually track to make sure that you're doing a Kegel really like with enough vigor to actually get the results. So those are some of the basic exercises to do. Again, so many people don't do enough of these, or they do some of them. They're working some muscles, but not all. But the number one mistake I actually see is people not relaxing those muscles enough, not doing the stretching, not working out those internal adhesions. So I'm going to give you more exercises on this in a later video. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you check out my masterclass on pelvic floor health that is coming up this month. We're going to do a deep dive into all things root cause, treatments, education, protocols, and more pelvic health. You can find that in the show notes. I'm Dr. Dianne. See you in another video.